we are skipping chapter 7 for now, and we're moving on to chapter 8. And the first thing we're going to do is not in your book. So, just so you know, today we are going to talk all about circles. Their radius, their diameter, their circumference, their area. Formulas for circumference and area are popular. They're common, so you need to memorize them, just like you had to memorize formula for area of a rectangle, area of a square. Hopefully you've memorized area of a triangle. 1/2 base times height. You also need to memorize circumference and area of a circle. Okay, so definitions, more definitions. Circumference, here, we are using a capital C. It's the distance around the outside edge of a circle. It's kind of like perimeter and a polygon. Why don't they call it perimeter? I have no idea. They call it circumference because it's a circle. Who knows? You can talk to people in ancient Greece and ask them why they didn't use perimeter, because it's the outside distance around the outside. Diameter is from one end of the circle to the other side of the circle going through the radius. There are many diameters. You can draw diameters. It just has to go from one side of the circle to the other side of the circle and through the center. This is the center. Well, that's what the definition of a circle is. It's a set of points equidistant from the center. So if you took a string, it'd be the same size all the way around. All right, so that's diameter. It goes from one side of the circle to the other side of the circle through the center. There are many that one wasn't because it doesn't go through the center. There are many diameters. Radius, on the other hand, is kind of like a diameter, but it stops at the center. So a radius goes from one end of the circle to the center and then stops. It's halfway around the circle. So hopefully you can see the relationship between the diameter and the radius. A diameter is 2 times the radius. A radius is half the diameter. Do you see that? I hope so, because this is a radius. From here to here is your radius. From here to here is also your radius. Is the same amount. So it takes 2 radius to equal 1 diameter. Or half of the diameter is 1 radius. Okay, this is what I was talking about. If your radius is x, goes from the center to a point outside the circle, then your diameter is 2 times x. There's your center. This is x. This is x. If you added them together, it'd be x plus x, which is 2x. Whereas your radius is half of your diameter, or your diameter divided by 2, same thing. Okay, so here we have a problem. You try to fill it out on your own. Hit pause and try to fill it out on your own. Okay, so if you're listening to me again, you've tried it on your own. You have numbers in the box. Okay, this whole thing is a diameter from one end through the center to the other side. So I'm going to know my diameter is 18 kilometers. My radius is half of my diameter. So it stops here. So that's 18 divided by 2, which is 9. If that is what you got, great. Okay, hit pause and you try to do this on your own. Okay, if you're hitting play, it's because you have numbers in there. Do you have radius is 17, diameter is 34 centimeters for both? If so, you can move on. If not, let's see why. Okay, we're given the radius because it's from outside to the center. So the radius is 17 centimeters. So the diameter is 2 times your radius is your diameter. 2 times 17 is 34. So that's 34 centimeters. John has a swimming pool. The distance from the center of the pool to the outside edge is 3 meters. So his swimming pool is round. It's a circle. Center of the edge. That is a horrible picture. Yes, I know. Just deal with it. It says it's 3 meters. So what's the diameter of the pool? The diameter continues it on here. We know diameter is 2 times radius. Your radius is 2, so the diameter is 6 meters. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, circumference of a circle. This is a formula for circumference of a circle. Remember, circumference is like a perimeter, but it's on a circle, so it's called circumference. It's just the distance on the outside of the circle. If you straightened it out, how long would that line be? So the formula is circumference equals 2 times pi times r. And if you're thinking, you'll say, hey, 2 times r is a diameter. So the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r, or circumference of a circle is diameter pi, because 2 pi is diameter. So those are the same exact thing. Circumference is the distance around the outside of the circle. Pay attention, pay attention. Sometimes you are asked to leave pi in the answer. Sometimes you're told to use 3.1 for pi, 3.14. Sometimes you're told if you need to round. If they do not tell you to leave pi in your answer or not, or they do not tell you to use 3.14 for pi, or 22/7 is also used for pi a lot. That's an approximation, obviously. If they don't tell you to leave pi in, or to use 3.14, or to use 22/7, use pi, the pi symbol. Leave the pi symbol in if they don't tell you anything else. Okay, so they tell you right here, use 3.14 to find the circumference of the circle. So we need our formula. Circumference equals 2 pi r. They give me r equals 5. They tell me to use the approximation of 3.14, and they tell me to round to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to substitute r in for 5 in for r, and 3.14 for pi. So C equals 2 times 3.14 times 5. Okay, I'm not going to need a calculator for this. I know that I can multiply in any order. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 times 3.14 is 31.4. I don't need to round to the nearest tenth because that's the only digit I have at 2. So I'm going to finish by writing my answer. The circumference is 31.4 meters. It is circumference, so you do not square those. You only square those for area. But you have to make sure you have your unit. Okay, hit pause and you try to do this one. Okay, if you hit play, it's because you know the answer. The answer is 2 pi r. Okay, and 2r is the same as diameter. You're given the diameter, so your answer is circumference equals, or the circumference is 12 pi centimeters. Insert a picture of your work, and you can move on to the next slide. I'm going to take the time to go over it for those of you guys who didn't get it right. Okay, C equals 2 pi r, but 2r is equal to diameter, and my diameter is 12. So C equals 12 pi. In a sentence, the circumference is 12 pi centimeters. Upload a picture of your work. All right, area of a circle. Area is the space inside the circle. Any two-dimensional shape, area is the space inside of it. Just like in a rectangle, it is the space inside of it. It's a horrible rectangle. Don't forget to square the units when you are finished. So the formula for area of a circle is area equals r squared pi. So you do have to find the radius for this. If you have a diameter, it would be diameter divided by 2 squared pi. So this is how you find your radius, so you have to find the radius. Pay attention to the directions. Sometimes you leave pi. Sometimes you use 3.14 as an approximation for pi. Sometimes you use 22/7 equals pi. It's an approximation. Sometimes they tell you what to round to. Pay attention because you will have points deducted if you don't read instruction. Okay, formula. Okay, so this one says, find the area of the circle in terms of pi. That means leave pi in your answer. Formula for area of a circle, area equals pi r squared. So you have to find the radius. We are given a diameter of 12. We need to find the radius. The radius is half of your diameter. If your diameter is 12, then that means your radius is 6. So I'm going to plug in radius equals 6. Area equals, in terms of pi, so leave my pi, but I want it after my number. So area equals 36 pi. Now I'm going to write my sentence. The area is 36 pi square centimeters. Make sure you square those units. Okay, hit pause and you try to do this one on your own. If you are listening to me now, you have your work on your dry erase board marker or dry erase board, and you try to see if you're correct. Do you have the area is around 78.5 square inches? If you do, terrific. Move to the next slide. If you don't, let's figure out what's going on. Make sure to upload a picture of your work. All right, so this is asking me to find the area and to use 3.14 for pi. Area is equal to pi r squared. They tell me to use 3.14 as my approximation for pi, and my radius is 5. So I'm going to plug those in. Area equals 3.14, radius is 5, squared. Order of operations, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We have to do exponents before we multiply. So I have to take care of that. Area is equal to 3.14 times 5 squared. 5 times 5 is 25. Now I need to multiply 3.14 times 25. I'm using my calculator. And I get area is equal to 78 5/10. So I'm going to write my answer. These technically aren't story problems, so I'm just going to write my label on here and be done. 78.5 square inches, 78 5/10 square inches. This means inches, so that's how I knew it was inches. And I had to square it. And that's the end.